The shadow at the train station on a dark, cold night. Sarah arrived at an abandoned train station on the outskirts of town. The last train had left hours ago, and the silence was heavy. There was no one around, only the sound of the wind howling through the surrounding trees. She was waiting for her friend, who had promised to pick her up, but they hadn't arrived yet. Sitting on one of the old wooden benches, she couldn't shake the growing unease. Suddenly, she heard heavy footsteps echoing on the platform behind her. She turned quickly, but no one was there. Trying to dismiss her fear, Sarah told herself it was just her imagination. But then she noticed a shadow moving in the far corner of the station. Her heart pounded as she cautiously approached, using her phone's flashlight to illuminate the area. The closer she got, the stronger the feeling of dread became. Suddenly, her phone turned off without warning, plunging her into complete darkness. She froze, unable to see or hear anything but her rapid breathing. Then, a whisper broke the silence. "Why have you come here? This is not your place." Sarah stood paralyzed, her voice caught in her throat. She felt cold breath on the back of her neck, as if someone was standing directly behind her. Summoning every ounce of courage, she spun around, but there was nothing there, just darkness. Panicked, she ran toward the station's exit, only to find the doors locked tight. She banged on them and screamed for help, but her cries seemed to vanish into the emptiness. Just then, a train appeared on the tracks. It wasn't a modern train, it was old, rusty, and falling apart. It creaked to a stop in front of her, and the doors opened slowly. A deep, hollow voice spoke. "Get on. If you want to survive." With no other choice, Sarah stepped inside and sat in the first seat she found. For a moment, she felt a flicker of relief. But as she looked around, she realized the train was completely empty. The windows were smeared with dirt, and the seats were torn. The train began to move, and eerie sounds started to fill the air. There were whispers and faint, sinister laughter coming from everywhere and nowhere. Desperate, she tried to open the doors, but they wouldn't budge. Out of the shadows, a strange man appeared. He was dressed in an old-fashioned uniform and had hollow, lifeless eyes. He walked toward her and said in a chilling voice, "You've entered our world. Now, you'll never leave." Sarah screamed as loud as she could, and everything went black. When she opened her eyes, she was back on the wooden bench at the station. The sun had risen, and the station was no longer dark and eerie. For a moment, she thought it had all been a nightmare, until she noticed an old, torn ticket lying beside her. On it were the words, "One-way journey."